right, what's up? What's up? It's your boy CoreyB. So check it out. I want to talk to y'all about just understanding the value and understanding the difference between one stock and another stock. Okay, there's a lot of companies that look good. There's a lot of companies that are doing great things. There's a lot of companies that are growing, and you see them populous. You see them all over the country, all over the world, things like that. And then you wonder, well, what makes a company a good stock investment? Like I said, ultimately, I always, I always teach and I always inform and educate people to go for the long run. It's the long haul. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon, okay? So you're gonna invest in companies that ultimately are gonna have longevity. You wanna look into what the company offers, what it's building, what it's growing, what it's developing, what it's got in the future opposed to just what it's doing today. But what it's doing today is important, okay? And when you buy into a stock, the way you gauge when to buy into a stock is based on what's happening in the market, and what happens in the market is all driven by the consumer. Now, I've talked about this before. I've talked about this several times in several different avenues. I've talked about it on TikTok. I've talked it on here and on Reels on Instagram and stuff, but I've also talked about it in different aspects, like different light of it, whether you're buying, selling, things like that, whether you're, gauging things based on the employers, the figurehead of the company, all these different things. What I want to do today is I want to talk about just the difference. I'm going to give you an example of two stocks. Okay, Bill Ackman, right? If you don't know him, he's a billionaire investor. Huge stake in stocks all over the place. His platform is enormous. Okay, well, back in 2021, early 2021, I told a lot of my friends, I talked about it on here, on my other channel, on my previous channel, and I talked about it on Instagram. I talked about Domino's. Domino's was a stock, man, that I saw it. And I've been reading articles and seeing different things that Domino's was doing. And honestly, the first thing that got me curious about it was one day, me and the boys had ordered pizza. We ordered some Domino's, and we're like, man, we haven't ordered Domino's in a while. We ordered Domino's, and we were like, man, it was so good. It was really good. And then so I was like, why is it so different? It seemed like it was different, right? And so then I Googled, I looked it up, and I don't know why I was curious, but I was just curious. I think it was like the second or third time that we ordered that we were just like so impressed at how delicious it was. And this is in no way a paid advertisement for Domino's by any means. But anyway, so I Googled and I looked it up, and it was so weird because what had made me think about it, because a couple of years before I had looked up about McDonald's Coke. There's actually scientific reasons of how they make their Coke taste so much better than any other Coke. You should look that up if you don't know about it. But I had remembered the McDonald's thing, so I was thinking about that while I was eating my Domino's pizza, and I was like, well, pulled out my smartphone out of my pocket and just looked it up, and apparently Domino's had gotten new people in the executive office, and then they started getting new managers here and there everywhere, and and they started trying to perfect their recipes and things like that over the last couple of years, and really gain back a lot of the clients that they had lost. Apparently they had lost a lot of clients, which I didn't follow all this, but they had lost a big bunch of clients, and their sales had drastically decreased over like a decade, and they had been gradually working towards changing things, and over several years they had been really getting back to focusing on the customer and being a customer-driven restaurant, which every restaurant should be customer-driven. Every restaurant should be focused on the customer. So that got me thinking. I was like, okay, well, this is cool. So I wanted to look into Domino's a little bit more, because I invested in different stocks and things like that. And as I was growing my portfolio, I was like, I wonder if there's anything to this. If they're refocusing from the executive level all the way down, and they're focusing on being a customer-driven restaurant, maybe there's something else going on there. So I looked into it more, and I saw about the technology that they were developing, and they were getting in on the robotic delivery services and things like that. They had all these different ideas for the drones and things like that to deliver your pizzas. Since then, I'm sure you've seen commercials for it. They actually have it in several cities now. But in 2021, this was just the beginning it was like January, February. It was early stages that I was reading articles about this happening, and I was like, man, this is awesome. I was like, this is a company I want to buy into. So I went ahead and, pulled out my phone and looked at the stock, and I was like, it's not a bad price right now. It looked decent. So I was like, I'm gonna go in because I can see the potential. I see the future. Crazy thing enough is 2 months after I invested, maybe a month and a half or something, then Bill Ackman drops his enormous stake in Starbucks. He had huge stake in Starbucks. He dropped his stake in Starbucks, which made headline news, and he invested it all right into Domino's. And he said it was based on the technological advancements and things like that, and this and I was like, I knew, I told y'all. I called up my buddy and I was like, dude, can you believe, I told you. I said it was happening. And it was so cool. I was super excited because I felt like I was like, see, I'm in on the end because I've been paying attention. And I see what's happening. And so I got real excited about it. And so I let my homeboy know, and I was like, but the thing is to me, I was like, it's not done. We still got to get, we can get more. And so what I want you to take away is a couple of things. So when he dropped his Starbucks that day, when he sold off his stake in Starbucks, did Starbucks cease to being the company that they were? No. Him selling off his shares in Starbucks, did it change Starbucks at all? No. And see, you know that and I know that. Of course, it changes nothing about Starbucks. But to somebody who's not paying attention to Starbucks, but they're paying attention to their shares in Starbucks, Starbucks dropped. It was 2.3%. It dropped the day that he sold. By the end of the day, Starbucks was down 2.3%, which is big. So people who are sitting there holding on to their Starbucks stocks, they're like, oh my God, I gotta get out. What's going on? It's like, do you gotta get out? Do you really? And see, on paper, Starbucks was a decent company, but it had peaked. And this is nothing about coffee. This has nothing to do with their political stances, them as a company, anything like that. Just looking at numbers. As a company looking at numbers, they were still a decent company. Decent. They're growing all over the world. There was some here and there that had closed for one reason or another, but anytime one closed, normally there was more opening up. It wasn't like they were hurting. They didn't look like they were in any bad place. Now, there was certain niche cities here and there that Starbucks wasn't thriving as much because they were predominantly cities that just kind of, went towards local coffees or things like that, or mom and pop coffees, or it just kind of depended. Like I said, in neighborhoods and in cities and niches and stuff like that, things fluctuated. But at the end of the day, overall, the broad spectrum, Starbucks was still a decent company. There was nothing numerically wrong with the company. So he just said, Ackman said he saw it at its peak. He said that ultimately he didn't see that there wasn't more potential. And the reality is there was totally possibility of more potential because lots of people love Starbucks. So there was more potential for the stock to go up. But at that point, it had risen so much during the pandemic that it was kind of at the top end of where it was going to go. And even if it did go up a little bit more, it wasn't going to give the quick return or the overall long-term gain that it was giving at that point. At that point, it was time. It's time to cash out. He had a stake in it for several years. And see, he played the long game. He had it for several years and he was done. Okay, now, Ackman only acquired his Domino's and held on to it for 2 quarters, roughly. He got it Q1, and by the end of Q3, he had sold it all. He said that he invested, and the crazy thing is because he invested and bought like 2.06 million shares, like 6%, something like that, 2.06 million shares of Domino's he bought. I mean, to have that kind of pockets is ridiculous. But this is what he acquired, right? So he acquired that, and that day, Domino's went up 3%. 3%. He started buying and it was $330 a share. By the time he was done, it was at $430. By the end of the day, it was up to $430. But the crazy thing is to this day, even with the stock crash, I continue to tell you that's a myth. But my portfolio is evidence that it's not crashed. But with all that being said, and with everything that's going on in the world and the economic structure and things that's going on right now, and the people that are selling off everything because they want liquidity and because they're freaking out over the stock market, they don't trust Wall Street anymore. So because of all these things happening, still today, nearly 2 years, it's February. It's February. In another month, it's going to be 2 years since his acquisition, 2 years since it went from 330 to 430. It's already 25 months from when I bought mine. And the stock's still up from where it was. It's at 353. So now, look, what I want you to take away from that is it went up 3%. Why did it go up 3%? Did it become a better company? Did he acquire it? No, because the market is not driven by value of company. The market is driven by the consumer. The more we buy, the more that value goes up. The less or the more we sell, the more it goes down. That's it. That's the bull market. That's the bear market. We're buying, it's going up. We're selling, it's going down. So right now, there's all kinds of people. It's like it's a bear market. It's like, man, so many people selling off stuff, and yet Domino's is still up from where it was when I started. Domino's is still up. Why is Domino's still up? Domino's is still up because Domino's is still valuable. Now, like I said, again, is this an endorsement for you to buy into Domino's? No. This is an endorsement for you to know the difference between a stock fluctuating based on the market and a stock fluctuating based on value. Now, that stock went up from 330 up to 430. Why did it go up from 330 to 430? Because over 2 million shares were purchased. And when he bought it, all kinds of other people were like, dude, we gotta buy. Everybody's gotta buy because Ackman bought it. It must mean something. He sold Starbucks and bought Domino's. Starbucks must be bad. Domino's must be gold. No, he saw something. And then as it went up so quickly, he was like, you know what? I think we need this capital. I think we need to invest. We have other investments that we have in mind. And so I think we're going to go ahead and transition. All right. I'm not mad at him. I can't blame him. But I didn't have 2.06 million shares. So with my smaller piece of the pie, my pie's still gold, baby. I'm still holding on to it because I'm still making money off of it. I'm still increasing in value on it. So even with the crash of the market and the death of Wall Street, so laughable. Even with all that, Domino's is still up. Domino's is still up. Why is Domino's still up? Because the value of the company is still good. Now, why did it go up so fast that day? It went up so fast that day because so much was purchased. Why did Starbucks go down? Because so much was sold. So much was sold. When you sell millions of shares in one day, that stock value is going to go down. I mean, at the end of the day, 2.3%, it's not even that big. I mean, it is. If you're a stock investor, you're a stockholder, you know 2.6% is important. 2.6% is huge. 2.3% is huge. 3% is huge. All these numbers are big. These numbers are huge, and they matter. But the thing is if it only went up by that much or went down by that much, it was a fluctuation based on purchases and on sales and acquisitions. I mean, that's it. That's what it comes down to. So that's what I want you to take away from this whole thing is I want you to understand that buy based on value. Don't buy based on what the market says. But be aware that when you look at the market and it's just skyrocketed today or it's just tanked today, why? Look into what happened. Like, read up on it. Okay, if somebody just sold off a bunch Did they know something you don't know? Or were they just moving, they were getting that liquidity so they could re-leverage on other things? Tesla went way down because Elon Musk sold a huge stake in his company. I mean, billions of dollars. Why? Because he was trying to acquire Twitter and he needed liquidity. Did that mean he didn't believe in his company anymore? No, of course he believes in his company. But did he need that liquidity for something else? Yes, because he's a man who keeps very small amounts of liquidity. Lots of wealthy people do. Lots of wealthy people carry small amounts of liquidity because they don't want to. That money is better out there growing and developing and making them more money. So when they choose to sell off to reinvest in something else, that fluctuates the market. It doesn't change the value. Know what you're buying into. Please, 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 I'm telling you, read up on a company. Find out what's going on. Find out if it's gone down. Is there a reason that it's gone down? Is there a reason for you to go ahead and sell yours? Is there a reason for you to actually buy now while you got that blue light special? Like, you need to understand these things. You got to give yourself and you got to give the market some grace. The market is not its value. The market is literally, simply driven by the consumer. What we acquire and what we sell off fluctuates that value, period. All right. Y'all got any comments? Y'all got any information y'all want to share? Y'all got something else you'd like me to talk about that I haven't yet? Please leave your comments below. Let's discuss. Let's open this dialogue, man. I've had some great comments. I've had some great people reach out to me. It's incredible. I've had lots of people reach out to me on Instagram and TikTok, on comments below, things like that. So be sure you open that dialogue. Somebody else, who knows where that conversation is going to go. You might help someone else might help you. At the end of the day, be sure you give your boy some love. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding your bell, get your notifications. Stay tuned because I got so much more coming at you. We're going to really, really, really keep growing. Y'all get cocky. Have a great day.